What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another Beta Memoirs. And today we've had some very good movement in tech. A lot of big FANG techs exploded today. Like I've been saying, everybody should be concentrating on a lot of the FANG stocks. A lot of mid cap, small cap have also been moving, but towards about, I would say it was about mid morning, closer to noon Eastern time. The mid caps and small caps started to sell, and then shortly after the last two candles of the day, it looks like some of the algos just started selling today. There's no news, but something I've been kind of forewarning on everything is that it is September. Last September, it looks like we had a 10% correction. Again, I think this, if we do get any kind of correction between this month and next month, I think it will be a diluted version of that. Being said, you still need to manage risk. There's no way for knowing for sure. But also being said, I think you need to prepare because I think the following 2 months, going November, December, are going to be extremely strong. But we have to find a bottom. You have to be patient. We have to see what happens. We may not get that big of a correction. We might just turn around and keep going. Every dip has essentially been bought. We've had a lot of low volume last month. So being said, it's easy to say why things were being bought up so quickly on the dips. Again, because everybody was jumping into the stocks that had volume and buying every single dip, causing it to push up quite a bit. So being said, SPY again hit resistance today, then started selling off towards the end of the day. QQQs, essentially same thing, right? Taking that hit, that algo started selling off. I really want to see how we play tomorrow. Again, tech, Apple, your Googles. When Apple, Google, and Facebook's has still been able to hold its own because of the ad revenue that they generate. But like your Apples and your Googles, they start really heading lower. In Amazon, that is going to be your lead indicator, especially Google. Google is starting to show signs of weakness. Apple's weakness, Microsoft, all those are starting to show signs of weakness on that selling today. We want to see if it continues into tomorrow. Tomorrow we got jobless claims. We might get a spike. We do have some data coming out tomorrow and Friday. Again, I don't think it's going to be big moves in switching direction. I think if these algos are really trying to take control and trying to get essentially a better position going into November, December, I think it's very much possible. We have to see how it plays out. So again, I'm very biased. I'm very bullish to say the least. And nonetheless, in this market, it is extremely hard to short. There's a lot of money in this market. It is easier just to wait for position and then take position. That's why I draw out these zones so I kind of know where supply and demand are, and then and buy on demand. So ultimately, QQQ, I want to see where this goes coming into tomorrow. Jobless claims. Again, I don't know how much data is really going to have impact. I talked about this in the weekly updates. There's no real way of telling. There's nothing. Powell is given the green flag. He gave his final green flag in Jackson Hole. We've seen that. The market just went, or FANG just went insanely nuts over the past 3 days. Even today, there was a little bit of continuation of that, but we're starting to lose a little bit of strength there. And we're getting towards where we are in September now. So we might actually start seeing some more selling. It's not saying we'll get some pops here and there. Depends. Typically what I look for is I try to look for that 2 standard deviation move down before I play long again. Again, this is extremely about being patient and waiting for your setup. So being said, we have to see how this plays out. Again, if it's a 2 standard deviation, it's good to play bounces. We have to fill out the water to determine what this is really going to be. That's why I like having, I normally, as far as like EMAs, I play the 20, 50, and the 200. Once stuff starts hitting around that 200, it's normally a good reversal So I'd like to load those, especially on a lot of really solid stocks that you really truly believe in, like established companies, not like up and coming, but very established stocks. That's why I play a lot of the FANG stocks all the time, because they're the first ones to reverse. They're the first ones to lead. They show you where the market is going. And so that's why I like to play them. So QQQ, as far as like watch list, it's more of kind of a state of the market, even though I'm going to go over some stocks here, just to kind of see where everything's at and what I've been playing. But Tesla, again, showing Tesla is really hard to sell off. It's been struggling so much in this range. I thought even after breaking out of this 731 mark, it really would have exploded, but it's dying. They've had a lot of good news. It's just been really stuck in a range for the past several months, actually, since February. It's had some nice little pops, but aside from that, it's been pretty stagnant. It's not the Tesla we saw that ran to 600 to 1,000. Again, it's been split, so I don't really expect it, and been added to the S&P, so I don't really expect it to be making huge moves like that. I think it can eventually again. I'm thinking maybe in the fall we can, but we do have the chip shortage, which is kind of bogging it down a little bit. So that's something else to keep in mind, and something that I think is on people's minds. Apple, again, they had some great news this morning. It popped and then sold off. Looks like it's getting ready to pop back up today. Every time we sell off, again, everything's just being bought up and runs up. So I want to see where this actually plays tomorrow. Might actually get another pop out of this tomorrow. So Apple can be one you watch. Facebook is always one that seems to lead as well. It looks like it's set up for tomorrow as well. It looks like it retested perfectly and is getting ready to fire up onto the upside. Microsoft, on the other hand, looks a lot weaker. So it'll be interesting to see where that goes. Google actually broke down below. If this actually does break the 50 here, the market, I think, is going to start going down from this point, especially because that, and you have your Amazon, which also started breaking down today, which is since it's been having a lot of steam lately, which is something I really want to watch closely, especially if we can get down to this EMA, this 391 EMA on the daily. That first bounce, I think, will be really big off that. But I would look for a quick turnaround and possibly even establish a more solider position here on the 50 EMA on the daily. The 3361 also gives you the 200 EMA on the hourly. I wait for those to hit that before I enter. Again, it's very much about discipline. Even for myself, there are times when I do get jumpy and try to jump in early because it doesn't always hit your line. It will come close, and sometimes it'll turn around from that point, especially when we start getting closer to the 200. People start buying quite a few dollars before it does hit that 200. Shop has been playing a tight range. So I really want this to either pull down harder or break out of range ultimately. I'll wait for it to actually come back in range to buy. Let's see. Roblox has been strong. Roblox has been one I like to play and been watching. Actually caught a little. I caught a little bit of this today. I scalped it today, but they do have the lockout expiration coming up. I don't know when the exact date is. I have to look that up. But once that comes, this may actually start selling off. At that point, I would probably look to buy. So this is something I want to keep on high watch for the next couple of days, and then I'll look for that date for Roblox to determine once that lockout date comes and starts selling. I want to pick Roblox back up, possibly calls and shares at that point. What's another one that's been going? Trying to think here. Airbnb is another one. It's been very strong. It's been consolidating a lot. I've been actually trying to pick this up with shares. Some of these lower wicks here at that 152 mark, but it just hasn't. This essentially 153.50 area has been a new solid support. So every morning it seems to come down and tag this and then continue to hold. So I want to keep this on high watch as well, and see where Airbnb goes. It's currently sitting above the 200, although it's been kind of buttering between this and just holding that line. So the nice thing about it is you can always keep a tight stop on this. I play more shares for Airbnb. Some of them I like playing shares as opposed to playing options better. Trying to look here. Some of the other ones, this is one I played today. They got some news today. Revolve Group. So Revlon got some news today and spiked completely out of this. I was actually looking on picking up this. I talked about this yesterday. I wanted this to actually pull back. It did not, so I hesitated on buying this, and then I got that news today, so it popped. I did grab some December calls on this. So on this 50 line, it is a nice support. If you look at just in general, this particular zone right here is actually pretty nice. In between the 20 and the 50, it's held and got a lot of reverses out of here. So as soon as that first dip came, I bought the calls on this. And even if tech starts selling off, I think a lot of the companies like Revolve, your department stores and stuff like that, they typically do pretty well during that time. The money has to go somewhere, and it typically either goes there or the banks when tech starts selling off. And so I foresee trying to get some kind of value play going in that I don't think is going to get hit too hard. So Revolve is definitely one that I got. Roku actually started breaking out with all the ad stuff. I want to see where this goes tomorrow. I'm not a huge fan of trading Roku. Roku is extremely hard to play, in my opinion, only because you definitely have to. It can be very tricky, and the patterns don't always play out quite as it seems. And so that's why I'm not a huge fan of Roku. I typically will play shares or wait till it really bottoms out. It has been bottoming out. They tried to take shares a couple different times on this, caught a little bit of the spike, and then it pulled back, tagged me out, and then I kind of just completely forgot about it. And then today it had that massive spike. This is one I want to watch, though, for tomorrow is Lemonade. Lemonade is if I can zoom here, Lemonade actually looks good. It's starting to break out on the daily. It looks like we finally broke above the 20 EMA. So I'm looking for this retest right here. If we can get essentially a 77 test, that comes right back into support. As long as tech doesn't have some major selling, I think Lemonade can actually start picking up and start making some moves up from that point. Again, I want to kind of start loading positions from this point. If it's a 10% correction, be mindful of that. I would slowly add or wait for stuff to actually start reversing. Play the bounces. So I have the daily supports, play the bounces on the dailies. Keep tight stops if whatever reason it doesn't hold at those heavy resistances. Right, either sell your calls at that point just before then, or keep a tight stop if you're playing shares, and then get back in if it does break that resistance, because that resistance might push us back down, especially if we're going to do any kind of correcting. So always be mindful. You can always get back in as opposed to letting it ride out, especially if you're in calls, especially the expiration on your calls can definitely get some a lot of premium burn. It hit those resistance and pull back pretty hard. So that is essentially what I got for you guys. A lot going on right now. Just technical wise and month wise, we want to see how September is playing out. So again, we want to see when the volume starts really picking up and seeing what it does. Again, we start seeing selling towards the end of the day. We want to see if that continues tomorrow for the rest of the week. Again, numbers, anything else that's coming up, I don't think is going to have nowhere near as much impact until next year, and then we'll start talking about it. Even the debt ceiling stuff might play a little bit later on in another 2 months. But from that point, we want to get in November, set up nicely, and then run into December. So being said, if you've made it this far, remember to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Until next time, I'll see you guys later.